Do you know the offside rule?
Your opinion is irrelevant.
There's no place for women in football.
Women should be seen and not heard.
Stick to getting your hair and nails done.
Which player do you fancy then?
Make me a sandwich.
Don't you have washing up to do?
This is a man's game.
It's time to make a change. Our opinion matters too.
The day away, from her point of view.
And welcome to the first episode of The Day Away with me, Isabelle.
And me, Charlotte. On today's first episode, we have a very special guest, Lucy from Her Game Too, and talk about why we're doing the podcast, really, how we became Rochdale fans.
Everything we can think of.
Yeah.
Everything to do with Rochdale on this podcast.
So then, I want to know, Isabelle, how did you become a Rochdale fan? Like, what made you, out of all teams, why Rochdale?
Well, it's obvious, isn't it? You always have to go with who your dad supports.
You know what? Exactly. That's my reason too.
Literally, I got to the Rochdale game when I think I was 6. So I was pretty young, especially for a girl, because, you know, lads get taken all the time to football matches with the parents, but not that many girls show interest young. So I got taken when I was 6. I remember my first Dale game because I was asking my dad if I could shout. Can I say up the Dale? Can I say it?
Oh,
and then I also lost my hat in the toilet. And I was really upset, but the stewards helped me find it. So yeah, basically why I became a Dale fan, my dad supported them. I went to every game, every weekend we were at home with him, and I just had no connection with any Premier League team, to be honest. I always say I'm not a trophy hunter, obviously that's why I'm a Rush.
Definitely not. Definitely
100%.
not.
But like I said, I've never had any interest in United, City, Liverpool, like anyone really in there. I think it's because it's so close to home. It's literally a 10-minute drive to Rochdale, and I'm in this great atmosphere. I'm watching a sport I love. I don't have to travel 4 hours to go and see my team. So I don't know, that's my connection really with why I became a Rochdale fan. What about you?
Like you, main reason, my dad.
Yeah.
So obviously, as soon as I was a baby, I was just a Rochdale fan. I had the kit.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually, I started going on and off when I think I was about 5 or 6. I actually fell asleep at my first game.
Oh yeah, that's me every game.
I actually fell asleep. So first game, I think it was the excitement of actually going to my first football match. And after all the excitement, I don't even think I lasted half an hour and I was asleep, apparently, on my mum. So, so because I was quite young, it was like on and off. And then when my mum and dad split up, that was when I started going with my dad. It was like mine and my dad's thing, at a weekend. Yeah, I've never looked back since. But like you, I've never really had a passion for a Premier League team. Don't get me wrong, I love football. I'll watch football if it's on the TV. But I think with Rochdale, it's quite a family club, and you feel like you belong, and you do feel like you are part of them as well. Yeah. Always familiar faces, even things like meeting the players, you can talk to the players. I actually took my little boy a few weeks ago to the open training session, and he loved it. And it was because he felt part of it and like he belonged there. And that's exactly how I feel. Being a kid and being obviously growing up to being an adult, I just feel like I belong at that club, and you feel wanted as well.
Yeah, and I always feel like they always want our opinions, as that's why it's so good to have a small club, like so intimate. They want to listen to you, and it's not like City where Burnley, or you are just a number.
Exactly. And it's like people like in the club, like you see fans becoming friends with players, you see fans becoming friends with people who work at the club. And that's what I like as well. It's like you said, it's as if they take your opinion on board and they do listen to you and they will help you. Whereas, like we've mentioned, at a bigger club, you're just a person, you're just a number.
Literally. Just a figure.
But who was your first? I'm really intrigued now. Like, who was your first ever favourite Rochdale player?
Do you know what? I think I have a few.
Yeah.
But it was between Ian Henderson and Ollie Rathbone. They're the recent ones, but like I was there when like Gary Jones and Tom Kennedy, people like that were there. But that was when I wasn't as intrigued in football as I am now. I would just go with my dad, go and get a pie and come home.
Just go for the crack.
Yeah, literally. But Ian Henderson was a massive influence on me why I wanted to go and watch football, because I just think he was really passionate about the game, like as well as the club. It's a shame about how it ended. Obviously, we all know when he left the club, but he was so passionate on the pitch, and he was a great captain. I remember when my dad told me that one of his first memories was when he was younger. Gary Jones scored like a late equaliser. He was in the standing lane and he just ran and kissed him. I know. And when we would go and see, I was like, that's a footballer that you kissed, right? That's
the thing though, like even moments like that and like memories like that, you wouldn't get at like a higher league team, would you? Them kind of moments.
I know.
First favourite ever footballer. I don't know if you'll remember him, because obviously you're a little bit younger than me, but it was called Paul Connor.
Yeah.
And it was obviously a striker. I can't remember how old I actually was, but I was only young, like a young girl at the time.
Yeah.
He actually injured, and me and my dad went into the director's box, and Paul Connor was actually there, and I'm sure I was only like 6, 7, 8, and I actually asked him to marry me. Yeah, little kid in my Paul Connor, this chubby kid in my Paul Connor shirt, just didn't have a care in the world. Just went up to him. I said, "Will you sign my programme for me, Paul?" So he signed it. Then I went, "Oh, will you marry me?" So that was my first favourite ever Rochdale player, Paul Connor. And I remember he actually left near, I think it was either near to or on my birthday. And my auntie and uncle bought me a Build-A-Bear. They didn't know he'd left or he obviously were going at the time. They bought me a Build-A-Bear and it was in blue. It had the certificate with Connor on. And it was, he gave it to me on my birthday, and it was when he just left. I burst out crying.
No way.
I was that heartbroken that he'd gone.
No way. Wow.
Honestly, that was my first favourite Rochdale player.
And also your first heartbreak as well.
That was my first heartbreak. And you know what? To this day, I'm still not over it. Still not over it. Still touches a nerve. Just moving on. How have you felt being a female football fan? Have you ever felt uncomfortable at Rochdale, or has anyone ever said any sexist comments? Or
At Rochdale, I have never ever received any hate for being a girl football fan, ever. Whereas if I was at school or if I would be walking around in my Rochdale top, I'd get a lot of abuse. And it was mainly from Premier League team fans. And that's also what gave me a better connection with Rochdale as well, because I just felt so, like, it didn't matter that I was a girl at Rochdale. Like, I was excited to go. I would be ashamed to watch Premier League teams on a weekend, like on, you know, in a local pub or whatever, and like actually see what's going on, because then lads will just turn around to me and like, who's that player? Who's that player then if you like football? Or like if we were watching like the World Cup or the Euros, which team's he from? What's the offside rules? And it's like, really? It's like, why can I not like football just because I'm a girl?
Like you said, and obviously us two cannot speak on like behalf of every Rochdale fan who's female. But I have never, obviously, I'm 29 now, and I have never in my time of being a Rochdale fan received any sexist abuse or any negative comments aimed at me because I'm a girl.
Yeah.
But the biggest one for me is social media.
Oh, massive.
Honestly, that is where I get it a lot. And obviously on Twitter in particular, I've got quite a big following because I'm a football fan.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is because I'm a lower league football fan as well.
Yeah.
So like, oh, who's Rochdale and kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'll say my opinion about a certain game, and it could even be totally irrelevant to that person who they support, but I'll say an opinion about football and I'll get told, oh, you know nothing about football, you're a girl.
Yeah.
I'll get old, get back to the kitchen. Oh, yeah. It's just annoying, isn't it? Like, why can't we have an opinion because we're girls?
It's just crazy because, again, like I said, the connection with me and Rochdale is because I've never received hate. But the one time I would wear my Rochdale shirt for a non-uniform day and then go into class and they'd be like, right, well, what was the score last weekend then? Or, right, what did United and City, name me the full lineup? And I'm like, what?
Do you know what the funniest thing is, though? When these people say it to us and then we nail it and you're like, what? She does know a lot about football. And it's just so frustrating, isn't it? And that's one of the reasons we're both doing the podcast, isn't it? Just to normalise females having an opinion in football.
And we both love listening to, well, I know you do as well, love listening to the other Rochdale podcasts. But we thought it was the right time to make a Rochdale podcast, but from a female's point of view.
We just want to normalise it for everyone, because obviously us being Rochdale fans as well, and our love and passion for our club, we just want, like, not even just Rochdale fans, other girls and females in football just to feel wanted and feel like they can speak out and they can, like, say their opinion and not be judged or not be, like, scrutinised for it.
Definitely.
The Dale Way is obviously, it's going to have me and Isabelle as our main hosts.
Yep.
But we are looking for some fellow female Rochdale fans just to build a team really, because I think it'll be good to have different opinions. Even though we are like watching the same game of football, we do all have different opinions, don't we?
One game you might think that, I don't know, for example, like Max Taylor had a good game. You know, that game I could have said, well, defenders could have done better that game. Yeah, like it's the various different opinions would be so good to have on and not just listen to the same, my opinion and Charlotte's opinion. So it'd be really nice if we could have some more female Rochdale fans as well.
I sit in now, it's called the Smith Metals Family Stand.
Yeah.
And I think, do you sit in the main stand?
I sit in the main stand, yeah.
So it'd be good if we could like female Sandy Laners and stuff on. So just so, because we're all sat so different, like get everyone's views and stuff.
Definitely. That would be very, very good.
But yeah, on our podcast, you can expect a lot of giggling from me and Isabelle.
It did take about 20 minutes to start because we couldn't stop laughing.
We couldn't even start the meeting, could we? But yeah, some match analysis from previous games. We're gonna play some games ourselves, aren't we?
We obviously said that we're going to do some fire rounds and like favourite game, favourite ground, favourite Dale kit, players that inspires you, stuff like that, and also some cute little games.
But yeah, we want to get the fans involved as well. We've been watching Rochdale for a long time, but obviously there's an era before us, recent fans, and we just want to know everyone's different opinion, like get other football fans involved.
Yeah.
And yeah, hopefully we'll be getting some staff. I'm hoping we could get some female staff from the club on just to basically mention what it's like being a female and working in football. Obviously, we want some of the hopefully female footballers to come on.
Yeah.
And then obviously like first team players, coaches, yeah, ex-players. So we just
as well on the board.
Yeah, of course. We just want to make it a fun place to come on and people to enjoy, but also be educated, have their opinion and stuff.
Our opinion matters as well. That's what I think the key message is. Like, we are female fans. Our opinion matters as well. And we support Dale, which is like 3 massive steps, you know, just in general for moving forward as a club. Obviously, our club now supports the campaign Her Games Too. And it's just such a big step to have me and Charlotte on this podcast to talk more about that as well.
Yeah, 100%. And we've obviously got Lucy with us.
Yeah.
And a little bit later, she will go into like how Her Game 2 started, the reasons for it. Yeah. But I just feel like we said, especially with Rochdale partnering with Her Game 2 recently, it was kind of in the pipeline for a little while, wasn't it, this podcast? But we felt like it was the right time to go ahead with it now.
Mm-hmm. It's time to hear what we have to say, and I'm sure, like we said, you'll be bored of us.
Yeah, you'll be hearing us a lot, guys.
Definitely. But it is time for a female podcast to come out.
But what I love as well, it's like the support we've had on social media from all kinds of fans, and that just gives me the impression that we are getting back. Has been a hard couple of seasons previously to it, and the fans kind of didn't know what was going on. Obviously, it's been a hard summer. What was going on with our club, who'd be in charge of our club. I just feel like we're getting that friendly club back, and that's one of the main reasons as well me and Isabelle wanted to do this podcast, because we just felt like we had the support from a lot of people, didn't we?
We've had so much support in the past weeks of when we announced that we're going to do this podcast. We've had so many comments and so many positive messages about it, and we're like really thankful to everybody who said all the positive things to us and that they're excited, and it really does mean a lot.
It is a family orientated club, Rochdale, and it has got a good community spirit. And I just feel like after the last couple of years, I just feel like it's getting back to that era where it was when Flitcroft, Hill and Chris Dunphy were in charge the first time. And I feel excited again.
I'm excited to go to games, and I know that sounds like, shouldn't every football fan be excited to go to games? But there was a time, it was towards the end of Brian Barry Murphy's supporters in the club. The fans were just so negative, and it just felt very negative. And obviously with David Bottomley in charge and stuff like that, it just didn't feel like my club. It didn't feel like the team that I wanted to support and go and see every single week. It just was difficult to go and watch, because you sit for 10 minutes and somebody's already complaining behind you about how we're passing from the back, or how David Bottomley's done this, and other boss has done this, and the board doesn't care about the fans anymore. But it's just absolutely turned a corner, and it's crazy how much of a positive atmosphere it is now.
Yeah, completely.
New backroom staff, new directors, and a new board. It's been an incredible couple of months, and it's been really nice, because as well, for the first game of the season, obviously because of COVID happening, I did buy my dad a box for his birthday. And for COVID, we couldn't go in it, obviously. And the first game back this season at home, we did it then. And we had about 4 members of the board come in. So we obviously had Simon coming in. At the time, Nick was there as well before he left. They all came in, and there was about 12 of us in there. And they had this lovely chat with us, and they wanted to have our opinion on the lineup. They wanted to have our opinion on how we're playing at half time, and and we were getting. And Robbie Stockdale came in as well. It was his first home game, and he took the time after the game to come in to our room, and I think of some other people's rooms as well, and introduce himself and ask us how we thought. And my dad was obviously like, "So how are you finding it?" Like asking him a million more questions. But it's
typical dads.
Yeah, literally. That's not embarrassing me. But literally, Simon came in with Robbie, and it was the nicest 15 minutes I have felt in a long time at the club. It really made me think, this club is changing, and it's changing for the better. And it's just made me so positive and so excited to be at more games.
I'm not come on to bash anyone. This is just my opinion. This is my opinion, but under the David Bottomley kind of last couple of years and stuff, I just felt everything was a secret.
Yeah.
Fans didn't know what was going on, and I think that was another reason why it was so negative, because nobody knew what was happening. And it's like, even over the summer, without the Dale Trust and the hard work they've done, who knows, we might have not had a club, because it's like everything was a secret. We didn't know who had what shares in Dale. It was just all a big confusion. And I feel like since obviously Simon has become chairman, like today, an article was released on the official website, and it was just him giving us an update of what's going on. And I just feel like it just put so many fans' minds at rest, and that's all we want. We just want to know what's going on.
He literally said, I want to inform you that we are a true fan-owned community football club with over 500 different fan shareholders, including both Dale Trust and the Community Trust. We would not have had that much communication with the old board. It's just so transparent.
Yes.
It's so good, and I'm so pleased that we're getting this kind of communication. Like at least every month, we're getting some kind of like knowledge of what's going on behind the scenes. But also, Simon is very active on social media as well, so he's absolutely fine with answering fans' questions or queries, and I love that. David Bottomley wouldn't even step into the same room as some Dale fans, and I think that just shows how positive and how much we're moving forward as a club.
I'm going to take it back now to the fans forum. With Simon, with Robbie Stockdale, they said exactly what they could say. They were very honest, very open, answered every question without any hesitation. Whereas obviously the fans forum before that, with David Bottomley, obviously Brian Barry Murphy's last fans forum as well, I just feel like it was a bit of a circus, really, because it's like the contract extension. Not one of us knew Brian Barry Murphy had signed a new deal.
Me and my dad were watching that at home, and we both went, "What?" I thought he was going at the end of the season. We both went, "What? That don't make any sense." It absolutely baffled us.
But then as well, it was like David Bottomley didn't even know. It was Brian Barry Murphy telling him
Yeah.
that he had an extension. It was like, what? It was literally a circus.
Yeah, and that's the difference between the old board and this new board, and why we think it's so positive.
100%. I just like us as fans, we just want to know like what's going on with the club. And I know we can't know everything. I just want to know like what's going on. And these updates are a positive, aren't they? And they do make you feel like part of it. And
the thing was as well, with the old board, we were in a scary time. We were in COVID, and we genuinely didn't know if we would survive. That they did not tell us a thing, and it was like I was so scared. But I was like, we're going to end up like Bury. We just
honestly,
that is going to be like, I was genuinely getting a bit like emotional about it. I was like, we don't know a thing. They're not answering us. They're not being clear in like the statements. It was just a lot of waffle in each statement, and it was like, what is all going downhill? What is going on?
It's just all a positive, really, isn't it? It's like this season, it's just so different, isn't it? It just has a different feeling.
Yeah, and as well, I always thought with new players coming in, will they like it? Will they not like it? But we did get quite a few new players at the start of this season, and I feel like they fit in so well. Like, they all just seem so positive about it. And, you know, towards the end of last season, some of the players didn't even look like they wanted to play, to be quite honest.
No. They look really together as well, don't they? Yeah, really together.
And that was quite early on, that it looks like very much in like together and wanted to play, and they were all really keen to play, and it was like they were very excited and energized to play again. I know O'Connell especially, he was really just running forward with the ball so much more than he used to. And obviously you do get some people saying they just passed around the back, and there still is, but there still could be a bit of that. But he just was like, right, come on lads, we're off to a good start. And he showed that from the beginning, and that's why I enjoy it as well, O'Connell being captain. I think he's such a strong leader.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to seeing him more.
Don't get me wrong, under BBM as well, I'm not faulting that, because they did look very together, the players. They were a good bunch of lads.
But it was just towards the end of the season. Like, I remember Shrewsbury that BBM took over from Keith Hill at the first game at home, and I think it was either 3-1 or 3-0 that we won. And I was like, oh my God, look at them all. BBM, I liked BBM. But it was his time to go.
We needed a change, didn't we? And I think even with like when obviously BBM did leave, and obviously there was rumours of Keith Hill coming back, as much as I idolise Keith Hill, I am so thankful for everything he did for Rochdale. He gave us our best moments. He made history with us. Mm-hmm. I just think we needed something fresh, 100%. Yeah. And we can't keep going back to, if obviously we sack a manager, if a manager leaves, Keith Hill. It's just
yeah,
exactly. And I just think with Stockdale, with like the new players, the young prospects, it's like, you think Stockdale had, was it 3-4 weeks to get a team together? And it's frustrating because, don't get me wrong, when we were winning games at the start of the season, I was planning our promotion party in September. Before the Oldham game, I was ready. I was getting my promotion party invitations ready. And
I was ready to get Stockdale printed on the back of my shirt.
Stockdale for Prime Minister. But honestly, I just think, and that's a frustrating thing with some of our fans, obviously we've gone down to League Two. They don't realise like he only had a short space of time to get those players in, to get a team together. So as much as it is frustrating, because obviously we were winning, and now obviously we have been losing some, we have been conceding, we have been like obviously losing points like late on and stuff, but we've also been gaining them recently. Like,
yes,
when have we like scored last minute goals?
Literally, I cannot remember until this season games where we either scored last minute winners or last minute equalisers. That is not Rochdale. We would either be conceding last minute equalisers or conceding last minute winners.
I know.
So it's definitely such a positive now.
100%. And I just think with our fans in particular, sometimes I think under Keyfill and stuff, a few of them have been quite lucky because they've seen the pretty football, they've seen us winning, they've seen us getting promoted.
Yeah.
And I think just some of them need a little bit of a kick down to reality, because like I've mentioned, he had a short space of time. We're doing all right.
Yeah.
Like,
we were punching above our weight when we was in League One. We are solidly a League Two team, to be honest. When we were in League One, we were punching.
Yeah.
Now that we're in League Two, it is where how we play, that is where we are, the standards that we play.
I never in a million years I thought this season would just be for getting new management in, rebuilding. Like, I thought I'd be happy with just surviving relegation, mid-table kind of thing. I just thought if we have a club at the end of the season, if we manage to sort out obviously what's going on behind closed doors, building a team, I was happy. So I think people just need to remember.
There isn't a problem with us like thinking, oh yeah, we need to get back in League One ASAP, because that's like, we want to be back in League One. We don't want to be in League Two. Come on. But from what the standard that we play is a solid League Two team. But there is absolutely no problem with having ambitions and motivations to be back in League One. Oh. However, some of the fans, I think, need to realise that there is a difference between having ambitions to be in League One and also thinking we are a League One team. Because with how we have been playing, we are a League One team.
100%. And it takes time as well.
100%, yeah. And especially with a new manager, new players, new manager, it's going to take time. And people just have to be patient.
Exactly.
But I am really looking forward to this season. I'm excited to see where we go in the next couple of weeks with our results, especially with having a last-minute equaliser. Last week, we've got Walsall coming up this weekend. Could be a tough game, but we are a better away team than we are a home team. So
I'm just excited to see what happens. It's like, obviously, we've got the January transfer window coming up, so it'll be interesting to see if we get any more signings.
Whether Corey O'Keefe stays.
I'm hoping, fingers are crossed. My fingers are crossed. I think he's a brilliant addition, Corey O'Keefe.
Oh, he's like the best right back I have seen in a while at Rochdale. In terms of defending and attacking, it's just, that's a different podcast.
And yeah, we're just really excited just to see where it goes, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. It should be a really good season, and I hope it's a really positive one as well.
Very exciting times.
Now we've got a very special guest joining us, Lucy from the Her Games 2 campaign.
To tackle sexism from football and to normalise that females can have an opinion.
Hi Lucy!
Thank you so much for coming on a day away and joining us on our first episode. How are you?
Charlotte, thank you so much for having me on your first episode as well. Congratulations on starting. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. I'm a bit nervous, but yeah.
Bless you. Honestly, don't be nervous.
But yeah, we just wanted to, I just thought it would quite fitting to get you on our first episode, really, with obviously like us two girls starting our own podcast from a female's point of view. And to be honest, a big part of that is because of the Her Game 2 campaign. We just felt like the video you put up and just everything we see, it just made us feel like, do you know what, it is our time to actually do something. And just thank you, to be honest, for just being there and starting this campaign.
Oh, well, thank you so much anyway for your words. That does mean a lot to know that, when you saw our campaign, it kind of inspired you to talk more about football and do your own podcasts about your own club, which is amazing, especially because, I know that you support Rochdale, and yes, that like my football team, we're not in the top division in the Premier League or anything like that, but we're lower league, but we do watch our team as much as we can. I go week in, week out, but yeah, no, I guess with her game too, it was kind of when Kaz came up with the idea, I don't think any of us really kind of expected it to take off like it did or have the reaction like it did, but we're so grateful for everyone's support, and we're also really grateful for the people who've reached out and like just talked about their experiences with us, whether it's on Twitter or just privately, or like when you hear people talking on podcasts and they said, oh, this is my experience. It's been really, really touching actually, just to hear everyone and know that even though it is a problem, and we want to tackle it, that there are so many female fans out there that do love football just like we do.
Yeah, of course. And like I mentioned, this is the reason why we wanted to start our podcast, because it shouldn't have had to be an issue in the past. And obviously, we're so grateful for her game too. But it's just, it really annoys me, the whole it's a man's game and stuff, because girls should have their opinion. Girls are entitled to have their opinion as much as men. And we know our stuff, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult when you get comments like, oh, you only go to football for attention. I was like, yes, I would go to watch my football team on the coach at Hartlepool away when I was 17 years old with my grandparents to watch us lose 4-0 for attention. Like, of course I would do that. I mean, it's just ridiculous, and that's the thing. Like, I guess I'm lucky in my family sense that I was taken to games by my dad and my grandparents, my granddad specifically in particular, and they never once said to me, oh, like, we don't want to bring you on to watch football. They were always so super encouraging. And when my dad, and the very first game I went to, my dad had got tickets through like a raffle, and he supported Rovers for years. It wasn't a case of, oh, who do I bring on? Do I bring a friend? He brought me along, and I had a Rovers shirt from a young age. He took me to my first game, and from that moment I was hooked. But my story doesn't start there. It starts when people laugh when I tell this, but it was actually when I was 2 weeks old when Euro 96 started, and my mum tells me that she went for like a bath or something. My dad was looking after me, and she came downstairs, and I was literally like 2 weeks old. I was quietly sat in my little like seat watching the football that was on, and my mum said to me afterwards, she's like, when I was a little bit older, she's like, I should have known you were going to love football from that moment.
Oh, that's a brilliant story.
It's literally in my blood.
Honestly, that's a brilliant story. And obviously you mentioned you love for football and stuff. So why don't you tell the listeners a bit about you and like who you support and a bit of the background, like your favourite player, and just a bit about you, really.
Yeah, so I support Bristol Rovers. Like I said, my first game was when I was 10 years old, and we played Shrewsbury Town and we won 1-0. And my dad took me along, and I was instantly hooked. And then I went to 2 more games that season. So we got into the final of the Johnson Paint Trophy in Cardiff, but we lost 3-2 in extra time. But there was like 35,000, 40,000 fans who went. And then we got into the final of the playoffs in League Two, and it was the first time I was at Wembley. And then I went there. We took 40,000 people, and we won 3-1 again against Shrewsbury Town, and we got promoted into League One, and it was just amazing. And from there, I just started going more and more. And started to go with my grandparents. So my granddad has supported Rovers from March 1950. That was his first ever game that he went with his granddad. And my granddad was a postie, so for a little while he couldn't go to games. But like growing up, when he was getting old, like growing up, he would go to loads of games with his granddad. Then he started going on his own. He brought my nan with him. He brought my mum and my auntie. My mum doesn't like football as much as my auntie or I do, but then he brought them along. Obviously, then he was working, like, and then he couldn't go as much. But then when I got a little bit older and got into it, then he came along with me, got a season ticket again.
Oh,
it was amazing. We used to go a lot on like the coaches on away games, and yeah, that's really where it kind of began and just grew and grew and grew for me. My favorite player, all-time player, is an easy one. This is going to be quite a funny one because it's a player that went from Rochdale to Bristol Rovers.
I was going to, honestly, I've listened to a few of your podcasts, and that's one of the reasons, because honestly, he was one of my favorite ever players for Dale as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because people like when people say, "Oh, your favorite player is Ricky Lambert," they're like, "Oh, you know, like, why him?" And I'm like, because he used to score like so many goals. And I kind of have a personal story. So when I was 12, I was mascot for Rovers one day, and it was amazing. And we played Southend, and we won 4-2, and he actually scored all 4 goals. And I remember thinking, like, oh my god, this is so cool, like, a mascot. I mean, this I'd have to send you a picture of it. So I actually got my braces done. I'd had braces in at that time, and I actually got my braces changed the day before to be blue, and my hair done, because I was so excited to go on this day.
That's so cute.
Yeah, I know it sounds so sad to say now.
No, it does.
And I wonder why people used to say stuff to me at school that I got my braces changed. But then I saw him at a Christmas party, like a young Pirates Christmas party, and said, "Oh, I was mascot when you scored all 4 goals for Southend and against Southend." And he was like, "Oh, you should be mascot all the time." And in my little head, I was like, "Oh my god!" And then he left in 2009 to go to Southampton, and I was absolutely gutted. But my mum said something to me that always stuck with me, and she said to me, "You know, you can still support him and support his career even though he's not at Rovers." And I kind of carried on doing that. I never went to see him again apart from when he played against Rovers for Southampton, but I carried on watching his career. And then I cried when he scored for England, of course, on his debut. And I was really lucky that I got to meet him again. About 11 years later, they were doing some charity night for like kind of celebrating like old Rovers players, and he was there. And me and my dad went, and I was just like, I was gonna go up to him. I was like, "Dad, I'm so nervous. Like, I feel like I'm 12 again." He said, "Look, I'll go first. I've got the picture. You come behind me." So he spoke to him, and then he showed him the picture, and then he pushed me forward, like, "This is Lucy." I was like, "Oh my god!" But it was so nice. It was literally like meeting him again, like when I was 12. It was exactly the same person, so down to earth, so friendly. And that's the thing. They say never meet your heroes, but I met mine, and it was just the best experience ever.
Honestly, it's like you mentioned Ricky Lambert, and I had an obsession with his strike partner at the time for us, Grant Hull.
Oh god, yeah, they were a fire duo.
Honestly,
weren't they?
They were a fire duo for us. And as soon as, obviously, I love Grant Hull, but as soon as Ricky Lambert put the ball down for a free kick, you just knew that ball was going in the net.
Oh, I know. He is definitely the best dead ball specialist I've seen for my football club. 100%. And he missed 1 penalty this whole time he played for Rovers, which is quite incredible. And I don't think he missed any for Southampton.
That's brilliant, isn't it? That's brilliant.
Yeah, like you don't get many players like that nowadays.
And obviously, we've just said a bit about you, Lucy, and obviously our love for Ricky Lambert. But just moving on to her game, like, for people who are not sure about her game, what can you like kind of explain to them? Like, what is it, and how did the idea kind of come up about obviously starting a campaign?
Yeah, so Her Game 2 launched in May of this year. We launched it because we felt like there was an issue in football around sexism, especially because, you know, in lockdown, everyone was kind of online talking about football, obviously watching it on TV. We couldn't go in person, which was difficult in itself. But everyone seemed to obviously, you know, tweeting their opinions online, which is fine. But then there seemed to be like an increase in sexism, but not just for football fans, but for football pundits as well, like Michelle Owen. So the situation was that in January of this year, Kaz, who's a fellow Bristol Rovers fan, she had quite a bad incident online. So she had some friends who support another team. They weren't in our league, they were a couple of leagues above us, Wickham, and they'd lost 7-2 to Brentford. Now, when you see a kind of result like that, you're a bit like, oh gosh, like what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
God, they've been battered. And she tweeted something like, and obviously Wickham had come up from League One to the Championship.
Yeah.
We've kind of been in a bit of a weird way. And she's got friends that support them, so it's kind of like poking a little bit fun. And she just said, oh, why are they in the Championship? And it wasn't anything rude. It wasn't anything malicious. There was no mean words in it. Nothing at all. So the tweet ended up getting a lot of retweets and likes. Now, there were some people that were saying, like, agree with it. There's a few kind of issues between Rovers and Wickham anyway from a long time ago. And there's other teams fans that I know don't like Wickham. But then it started to get on people's timelines who would then started saying sexist comments such as like, get back to the kitchen, like, what do you know about football? You're just a girl. But then really going, saying awful things about the way she looks, her weight.
Oh my
God.
God.
And the mental impact that it had on her was awful. She said to me that she locked down her account for 2 weeks. I saw it happen. Like, she locked her account down for 2 weeks. She came off social media. It really affected her mental health. She couldn't sleep. And she was like worried it was going to get on other platforms. And she said, I know that she said on other points that if you could go to games at that point, she wouldn't have gone to the next game, because just purely out of fear of that someone would say something horrible to her in person, which is awful. No one should ever be made to feel like that for expressing an opinion about football, like whether people agree with it or not. And it's absolutely fine to have a healthy debate and say, oh, this is why I don't agree. I might tweet something about a player, and I think, say, a player at Rovers not had a great game, and then he scores in the next game, and then people be like, oh, you got it wrong. And be like, yeah, you can absolutely hold your hands up and say, yeah, I got it wrong. That's normal. But to go to that extent and make someone feel so bad that they don't want to be on social media and that they don't even want to go to a game, I just think is awful. So then in April, she came to me and she said, do you feel like there's a campaign out there for sexism in football?
Yeah.
And I thought about it and I said, no. I said, I'm not aware of one. And then she said, well, why don't we do a video highlighting our experiences? So my kind of experiences were less on social media. It was more like in school and stuff, like teachers and other students saying things to me. But I did kind of have a bit of an incident when I was about 17. So funnily enough, we were playing Wickham, and when we won the game, and I didn't realise at the time, but a picture had been taken of me, like shouting towards like the players, like just cheering on, as you normally do, because I was at the front, but I didn't know the picture had been taken. It was by a professional camera, like company. Anyway, so the week later, the night before our final game of the season, this picture gets posted. And then people start tagging me in it, and I didn't even know it'd been taken. I didn't ask for it to be taken. And then a guy, so a fellow Rovers fan, took the picture on the Saturday morning, tweeted it, didn't put any words, and just zoomed in on my face, but specifically my nose. And then people were like retweeting and laughing, and then tagging me in it again. And I just felt so anxious, and it really like made me think like, oh, is there something wrong with the way I look? Like, and I didn't want to go to football. It was our last game. It made me feel so anxious and horrible about myself. And I was just like, why would someone do that to another person, especially in the same team? We all support the same team. I didn't ask for the pitch to be taken, and I wasn't doing anything wrong. And I just felt awful. But anyway, that day we lost and we ended up being relegated. So the impact of the picture kind of died down quite quickly. But the impact on me kind of stayed with me for a long time after.
Yeah, that's disgusting. That's not fair at all. No one.
Yeah, and so once me and Kaz said, right, we want to do the video, then we kind of thought of a number of girls that we followed who we thought, oh, they'd be great to be on it. And there was we could have had so many people in it, but we didn't want the video to be too kind of chunky or not get the message across. So she went and spoke to 10 other girls, and all of them said yes straight away. So we got together in a Twitter group chat, discussed our ideas, how we wanted to do the campaign, what we wanted to call ourselves. And then the night before, we decided to launch all the social media, kind of Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and just kind of build up on it and just say, oh, look out for this. Started the hashtag #HerGame2, and then we launched it on 10 o'clock on the Saturday, which was FA Cup final day. And I didn't even realise until the morning it was FA Cup final day, which is weird, but it just, because it was so busy, like, we're getting this ready, it just wasn't on our radar at all. And I thought, oh, this is good. Like, you know, people are going to be tweeting about football. So we tweeted it, and it went viral. And I mean, it went viral to the extent that we had 1 million views in 24 hours on Twitter, which blows my mind. And we, even that first day, we had like clubs quoting support, the EFL quote support. We had dads, you know, tweeting pictures of their daughters. We had people messaging saying, "Thank you, this is my experience." And it was amazing to get that, you know, to get that initial support. And then from then we did our survey. So that was in June time. We asked girls to take part in a survey, but we sent it via like Twitter kind of DM, because we didn't want like the results to be skewed. So like, you know, guys kind of jumping on and saying, "Oh, it didn't happen," and mess with the results or pretend to be someone they're not. So when we did the survey results, over 90% of women and girls had said they experienced some sort of sexism, either in the pub, at the ground, or online. And that was just harrowing.
That's
like,
ridiculous. That is,
I know, it's crazy when you think about those numbers. And then
wow,
when we had we gave people the opportunity to kind of like to talk about their stories and, like, you know, write as much as they wanted to. And just reading that was horrific. I mean, I can't even talk about some of the stories because I would just start to cry. And if I had experienced like a half of what some of these girls experienced, I would never step in a football ground again. It was absolutely vile what some people have had to go through. So then we were like, right, now we need to go to the clubs, and we need to go to the club and say, look, this is what our campaign's about. We're really keen to, you know, make football a safe space for female fans and for everyone to go and enjoy the game. Like, do you want to basically partner with us? And the reaction from the clubs have been really, really good, actually. So we've partnered with numerous clubs in the Football League. I think we're up to about 21, 22 now. And as well as like non-league clubs, grassroots clubs, girls and boys, as well as women's football clubs as well, such as Reading FC and the Super League, which is amazing because we announced that last weekend, which was Women's Football Weekend.
That's brilliant.
So yeah, and it's just been, I mean, it's been a crazy kind of 6 months, and we never thought we'd have this impact, but I feel like for us it's just the beginning. I think there's so much more we can do, and we want to do, and we want to just keep spreading the message as much as possible.
Yeah, 100%. And as you were mentioning about clubs that you have partnered with, like, what does it kind of entail, like, when you do partner with a club? Like, do they approach you? Do you approach them? Or is it a bit of both? Like,
so it has been a bit of both. So some clubs have reached out to us on social media or via email and said, "Oh, you know, we've seen your video. We'd like to partner with you." And then some of them we kind of, in the initial part, we just like emailed out. We found like media or kind of commercial kind of contacts and said, "Oh," and just kind of sent an email. Kind of done like a presentation, just kind of highlighting everything that we've done so far, just talking about the campaign. And just send it out to different clubs. So like one of the first clubs we partnered with was Bristol Rovers, which was amazing. But for us it was like the community trusted an amazing thing for us, because we've got a women's team now. We're only about a couple of years old, and they donated the away shirt sponsorship to us, and I was able to be part of that shirt launch, which was such a special moment for me, because I was like, oh my gosh, like, you know, when you see people now that have got the shirt or they're playing away and they're wearing the shirt, and for me it's such a proud moment to see it. And they've been amazing. But it's not just them. There's been all the clubs that partner with us have been amazing. So one of our first things is we asked for a reporting system to be put in place, so that, you know, if there is any incidents at the ground, that female fans know that they can report it. And with that, we've got the posters. So it's got the club badge and our badge, and then a number or email, or however way they want to report it. And then it's also about having a presence of us in the ground. So obviously it kind of can vary, because some grounds got LED boards and we've been on the LED boards, or a big screen. At Rovers, for example, they've got like an advertising board. We've been in program features. And then Exeter City, for example, really did something quite amazing in October. They dedicated a whole weekend to our campaign.
Oh, that's
So
amazing.
what that entailed was the men and the women both played at home Saturday and then Sunday. Both of them wore warm-up tops with our logo on, which was amazing to see. Really kind of promoted us on social media, talk about our survey, talking about the player, like I think they did like a podcast, a weekly podcast with one of the players. He talked about his daughter, and I thought that's really good, because then it's getting to the professionals and they're kind of understanding about the campaign.
100%.
And the women played at home on Sunday, and they actually had their biggest ever attendance. They had almost 1,400 attend, and even some of the first team players came along and watched them. And I thought, this is amazing. Like,
that's fantastic.
If every club that had a women's team either as part of them or could offer that opportunity, even potentially like as much as possible, to play at home as well, and boost them, promote them on social media. I think there's such an opportunity to have really good crowds. And like next summer is the Euros, and I just read today that over 280,000 people have applied for tickets, and it's beaten the best ever of 240,000. And I think that's such an amazing achievement already.
That is,
and it's going to be an amazing summer.
It's how do you and the girls feel though, like when you see that and you see so many people now like wanting to be partnered with you, and like so many people now interested in female football? Like, I bet it makes you feel really proud, doesn't it? Like, really proud of yourselves.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely makes us feel really, really proud. And when you see clubs saying, oh, like, we've seen your video, we've seen your partner with these people, they're doing like, this is really great, this is what we want to do, and they're offering like different ideas. Yeah, it does give me a real sense of pride. And then I look back and I think, from something that was so awful and shouldn't have happened, something so amazing has come for it. Yes, people might say that we shouldn't need the campaign, which I do agree with. We shouldn't need the campaign in 2021, but and it hasn't been easy. Like, there are times where we still get abuse, or initially, especially on the initial video, we actually had people saying, oh, you're doing it for attention, or oh, it doesn't happen, and then but when the clubs are partnering with you and they're like, no, we really want to put something, like do a report system, we want to really show that we're an inclusive club, we want to do something different. I think it definitely, sometimes you do have to sit back and be like, this is an amazing 6 months, like this is what we've done. And like I said, like I just feel like it can really grow, and that's what we want. I mean, for me personally, I would love for all the clubs in the Football League to partner with us. I think there's no reason why they shouldn't, and actually want to partner with us for the right reasons as well. But for me, it's also about the next generation. And you've got little boys, but if they had like friends, and they want to go to football together, there's no reason why they shouldn't all go to football together and enjoy it.
100%. It's like my little boy Bobby, he's 6, he's nearly 7, and he actually does play for an under 7s team, and he has got a girl on his team as well, which I find amazing. And it's like the little boys and stuff there. I know for only kids, but it's like normalizing that girls can play with football, and like girls and boys can mix and stuff. I just don't see why it should be an issue and why we should have this problem.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. When kids at 6 and 7 can play together, I know that obviously when they get older they don't, and that's okay. That's just the way it is, and that's fine. But when kids are playing together that age and they're enjoying it, I think there's nothing wrong with that. And that's the thing, that's what it should be about. And that's why I get annoyed when people are like, oh, you're pushing like girl football, or you're trying to take over. It's like, we're not trying to take over the world. We're just saying that men and women should be allowed to enjoy football together. That's all it is. And if you want to watch men's football, that's fine. If you want to watch women's football, that's fine. Just let people enjoy what they're doing. Like, it's not hurting anybody.
Yeah, 100%. And as you were saying about obviously how you've obviously been treated in the past, and how obviously the other girls have been treated in the past. Fortunately, I obviously can't speak on behalf of every female fan, but fortunately the Rochdale fans I have spoken to, there has not been anything like sexist or there's never been anything negative towards us females, or we've never felt unwelcome, we've never felt unwanted at the club. And that was a massive thing for me as well, why I was so proud when obviously Rochdale did partner with Her Game Too, because I just feel like it is becoming, we've always been known to be like a well-run club, like a family club, family orientated community club as well. So it just made me feel really proud about obviously Rochdale partnering with you. And they've obviously announced as well, as part of that, they'll be doing a dedicated fixture.
Yeah, they are, and that's the thing. I think, as like time's going on, like lots of clubs are wanting to do these fixtures. I don't know when this date will be, but it makes me excited when you see clubs saying, "Oh, we want to dedicate a fixture." Like I know they're not in the football league anymore, but we've partnered with Bury AFC literally just in the last couple of hours.
That's
they're
amazing.
dedicating a fixture as well, and it's just amazing. I think it's just, and that's the thing. It's, they're having these dedicated games. It's like, when you have a dedicated game to like Kick It Out or Rainbow Laces Week, and that's the thing. It's just like, it feels like, there should be like a Her Game 2 day. Obviously, girls should be allowed to watch football anytime, but to actually have a day where it's being recognised by these clubs is a really big deal. And that's the thing. It's good because, if these, there are people that might try and say something sexist online, then the clubs will actually be like, no, like this isn't okay. And actually, we partnered with MK Dons as well this week, and a few weeks ago, before we'd confirmed the partnership, it was talk about the women's Euros. Actually, they were doing the draw, and I think they've got a couple of games at their ground, and someone said, "Oh, like, why are you tweeting about this?" Or it was something like quite rude about it, and the person behind the Twitter account for MK Dons actually tweeted, so this isn't okay, like,
oh, that's brilliant,
and actually like put our hashtag or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember seeing it and I thought, do you know what, fair play, because
fair play to
if the clubs are actually trying to standing up against it, then that shows that they're willing to, obviously they're calling it out themselves, and I think that's a really important thing to do. But yeah, no, it's just been a crazy and amazing kind of 6 months, but yeah.
And just to finish off, really, just your opinion, if somebody was to receive sexist abuse, like whether it be on social media, whether it be like in a football working place, whether it be at a game, what would you advise them to do?
So if it was online, I would definitely call it out. I would report the tweet. And and that's thing, when you're kind of highlighting the individual and and reporting it straight away, then other people will see it. And I've noticed, especially, I don't know if it's perhaps with the campaign, that people are being allies now, and people are actually calling it out themselves and saying, no, this isn't okay. And I think that's really, really important. If it was in a ground, and say if the club that's partnered with us, there should be posters around the ground with a number or contact details where the person can contact the club and say, this has happened to me. But we also have a reporting system on our website as well, so that if there are clubs that we're not partnered with yet, or you can still report through this way, we've got a reporting form, so if there is any instances, we welcome the reports, and then we'll follow up the clubs themselves, and then they'll put in, we hope that they put in action to stop that person, or say to the person the perpetrator, like, this isn't okay, and put something in place that they shouldn't do it again, and actually perhaps go down hard on them, because it isn't okay. And I think these people need to realize that girls and women are going to be enjoying football for a long, long time, and whether you say to us that we can, we're still going to keep going. But I wanted to also say that I've actually been to Rochdale a number of times as an away fan, and I've also always found it really, really welcoming as well. So from a personal point of view, I've been 3 or 4 times now, and it's always been a great place to go, like the little pub next to the ground. So I just wanted to mention that as well.
Oh, thank you so much for that. That's absolutely amazing, because obviously, like, we know as like Rochdale fans, but obviously hearing that from an away fan who's been a number of times, that's fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing, when these clubs partner with us, it doesn't mean that there's an issue at the club. Some clubs, like for example, Torquay, we partnered with, and there's so many clubs out there. They're already doing good things, like they're getting their women's team. They're doing stuff. They've got lots of women working at the club, different positions as well. Like sometimes they've got female CEO. We also want to celebrate that. It's not all bad.
Yeah, of course.
And Torquay this week, they do community days, and part of their partnership with us is they've offered 1,000 tickets to women and girls fans, female fans, in the local Torquay area for their upcoming game next week. And I just when they said that's how they wanted to do or celebrate the partnership, I was just absolutely floored. I was just like amazed.
That's brilliant.
That's brilliant, and that's going to go out to schools and colleges in the local area, local football teams, local girls teams, and that's good for that club. That's gonna get in a loads of new fans, because if they have a great experience, Torquay win, for example, friendly, everyone's having a great time, then you're more than likely to come back. And so I thought, and that's the thing, like there's so much out there that they can do to increase the fan base. And that's the thing, that's in the ratio of men to women is so season ticket holders is quite large, especially at some clubs. And I think if you could bring up the female season ticket holders too, how much money are the club's going to make? They could be making so much from it.
But we just want to thank you really, Lucy, for pretty much for the campaign itself, because honestly, like I mentioned at the start, without you girls, we probably wouldn't have done a podcast. We probably wouldn't have even started it. But we just felt like it was the right time, and especially with Rochdale partnering with Her Game Too, we just thought, do you know what, let's give it a go and start something new, start something fresh.
Yeah, and that's the thing, it's always about starting, sometimes it's it's right place, right time, but thank you so much. It does mean a lot to not just me, but to all the girls when you've heard that you've inspired someone to start a podcast about their own club. So yeah, thank you so much as well.
And we just want to thank you really for just taking the time to come on, and especially with it being our first one, you've been so amazing. So we really appreciate it.
Oh no, not a problem at all. I really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, no, thank you for asking me on.
Oh, thank you so much for your time, Lucy.
Thank you.
Goodbye. So now we're going to play a little game that we've come up with. It's called Hit and Miss. We name our favourite football chant from Dale. It can be anything from across the years. And Miss is our worst. So I'm going to start this week, as it's our first podcast. I'm going to ask you, Isabel. So what's your hit? What is your favourite Rochdale chant?
It's just gotta be the Joey Thompson one. It just because that game is the best game I've ever been to, and to sing it every time, like whether we sang it at Oldham and I was just like, yeah, we grew up in our town like that.
Well, it's the story what went with it, like how poorly he was, and then to come on and score that goal,
and keep us all
a little lad.
Honestly, possibly the best game. It is up there out of the two of my best games I've ever been to.
100%. And I will ask you now, what is your miss?
Do you know what? I don't think I have one. There's a couple that I'm like, oh God, but I don't really hate one. What's yours?
Right, well, do you know what? I'll do my hit first.
Yeah, go on.
And I think it was the Ian. I loved the Ian Henderson one. But here's to you, Ian Henderson.
Rochdale loves you more than you will go.
There was another one as well, and it's got to be a Paul Connor one because he's just my favourite. And it was Comma Chameleon, but it was Connor Chameleon. He scores a goal. That was honestly just because I loved Paul Connor. But my miss, right? And I'm sorry to whoever made this song up if you are listening, but it has to be the Rory McArdle chant.
Wow.
And it's just for the reason that imagine becoming a professional footballer and having your name sang on the terraces, and the song of choice for you is "He is a Wall." He is a wall. Rory McArdle. He is a wall. Like, I don't know. That's just my opinion, but
I know where you're coming from. I do get
it just really wasn't my cup of tea. Don't get me wrong, I sang it. I sang my heart out, but it just wasn't for me. Just wasn't for me.
What is everybody else's hit and miss then? Comment on our social medias and tell us which one your hit and misses are. Now we have got another game, and it's our all-time favourite 11. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, Charlotte, what is your all-time favourite 11?
Well, I'm going off like, don't get me wrong, I think they're great footballers, but these are my favourite players.
Yeah.
So my goalkeeper is when I first really started watching Rochdale, and Neil Edwards. That's my goalkeeper. Mm-hmm. I'm going to then have Tom Kennedy, Craig Dawson, Owen O'Connell, and Scott Wiseman at the back. I think that's a well good defence.
That is wall and a half.
I'm going to have Gary Jones and Ollie Rathbone in the middle.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to have on the wings Ian Henderson and Alex Newby.
Mm-hmm.
Up front, I'm going to have Grant Hull. And who else other than Paul Connor?
You are still in love with Paul Connor, and I'm here for it. So again, I'm starting off with my keeper, who was there when I first started going, and it's Matt Gilks. He's also my dad's favourite as well. So he was always been like, best keeper you'll see at Rochdale, him.
Oh,
at the back, I've got Corey O'Keefe, Craig Dawson.
You've got to have Dawson for his headers, haven't you?
Craig Dawson is a love of my life still.
Goal
Owen O'Connell as well, just a solid captain. It's what you want in a team. And Tom Kennedy. And my midfield, obviously Gary Jones, no doubt about it. Ollie Rathbone and Chris O'Grady I've put.
I was torn with my team. I was absolutely torn. There were so many I could have picked.
Well, you should hear my up front, because I picked 4.
Gone all attacking.
I was like, midfield's just going to have to be forgotten. I need to have all 4. So I said Scott Hogan. To me, anyone who scores against Bury at home is my idol.
Yeah, 100%.
Ian Henderson as well, all-time goal scorer, also the love of my life. I said Adam Lafondre as well, absolutely incredible footballer at his prime.
Fantastic, Alfie, fantastic.
And then Grant Holt, he's the best finisher I've ever seen.
I loved Halty, loved him. I loved his chicken dance celebration as well. That will always be one of my favourite ever celebrations.
So funny, wow. That's my team. We had pretty similar
players. Very similar. I'm shocked because we could have picked from so many. So we must know our stuff. But yeah, we just want to thank everyone who's listened to our first episode today, and yeah, we hope you enjoy and you carry on listening.
Yeah, there'll be different aspects of the match performances. Some episodes will be interviewing more people, or some episodes it could just be talking about pre-matches, like anything about Rochdale we will be on. talking. And if you'd like to listen, then please do. And if you have listened, thank you very, very much for listening.
Yeah, we really appreciate all your support, and yeah, we just hope it's something different and we can kind of normalise how women should have an opinion in football.
And that's why this is called The Day Away from a female's point of view.
Thank you for listening, guys.
Thank you.